Yeah, so Marth is pretty much your run-of-the-mill lord. He is kind of haunted by one thing, and that is that his caps are really bad in this game. Even with capped speed, he will get doubled by Matthis. There's not a huge reason to train him, honestly, just to make him like a little bit more tough, but you don't really get a huge payoff out of it, so view him more so as a commander than anything else.
Yeah, like
and he runs around getting villages.
Yeah, he is like the only one that can get villages in this game. Something to be mindful of. Only one that can get villages. But regardless, we still got to use him.
Yep. I'd use him a little bit, but don't prioritize him.
Absolutely. Caeda, hello, Windspear.exe.
Yeah, so she is one of the fastest units in the game. Which by itself is really good. She's one of the few units who can very, very consistently double. And fun fact, there's many things you can do with her. Obviously, you can just use the Wing Spear, but you can also make her a mage, for example, forge her a fire tome, and bam, she doubles everything. Like, there's a lot of funny things you can do with her, but the main thing is obviously the Wing Spear, and that is what we will be probably going for.
Effective damage is king here, I would definitely say.
Yeah.
Definitely a massive buff to have if you have it on your unit. But of course, hello, Mr. Draco Knight to be. It's Jagen.
Yeah, you can pull up Jagen's personal stats because they matter. Just write on Jagen personal. So this is like, everybody thought this guy is really, really bad, and you look at these stats and you're like, wow, that is really, really bad. But his stats don't matter.
Yeah.
What matters for him is early on he's a little bit tankier than your other units, and that is really nice. He comes with a Silver Lance, which can really help you damage-wise. He's the only flyer you get, because he can reclass to Dragon Master, or Dragon Rider, other than Caeda. And if his stats do fall off, you can just make him a Sage or a Bishop and use him for healing.
Absolutely.
So he can stay relevant for the entire game.
Yeah, generally speaking, like, the go-to strat, from what I recall about Jagen, is you just make him a Wyvern Knight, and that's, like, kind of like the meta. But yeah, there's a lot of interesting ways to make Jagen work.
Make him a Wyvern Knight, and if you notice him falling off too much, you can make him a healer.
Absolutely. But of course, we have our Christmas calves. Hi, Abel. How you doing, buddy?
So you have Abel and Cain. They are, for most intents and purposes, the same unit. They have really, really good growth rates. And their bases are not bad. The only distinguishable difference between the two is Cain has one less speed, which can cause him to get doubled.
Yeah.
And Cain only has E rank in lances, so he can't use javelins. So Abel is slightly better than him, but they're still both really, really solid. And in fact, their growth rates are so good, like their personal growths, you can use them in any class. You can make them healers like curates, and they'll still be really good.
Absolutely. Yeah. Cain and Abel, like, they're interchangeable, but personally, I'm more of an Abel I like Abel more, just because, like you said, he can use the javelin right off the bat, and generally becomes faster for me. Like, I personally like Abel a little bit more.
Yeah.
But that's not to discredit Cain.
Yep.
Cain has merit, but like you said, we do need to train him to get a javelin, which is a little unfortunate, but it's what we're working with.
Yeah. And if possible, you want to get him 1 speed level, because even as early as Chapter 2, 6 speed is enough to get you doubled.
Definitely is. But of course, we have the OG man that will choke this point. It's Doga. Or Draug.
So, you want to show his personals here. Yeah, Draug, Doga. His name means guard backwards in every language.
Oh, really? That's funny.
Yeah. In Japanese, I think it's Doga, but that's Gado. So, this is the most deceptive armor knight ever, because he's super fast. He just has big armor on. His defenses are actually really, really bad, but he's incredibly fast. So you can make him like a fighter, a mercenary, a hunter, and he'll be an offensive powerhouse. But his bulk, he will be like a glass cannon. But even as a knight, he can kind of go the middle route, where he's a little bit tanky, a little bit fast, a little bit strong, and does everything a little.
Absolutely.
Great unit.
Yeah, good unit all around. Like, and especially for the early game as an armor knight, when we can't reclass yet, he's going to be helpful to at least take a hit. That feel when we won't get my favorite unit because we won't get 6x. We'll see. You might get your wish, depending on how this goes. I would maybe hold out a little bit, Sharkman. Last but not least, it's of course everyone's favorite meme. 5 points. It's Gordin.
5 points!
5 points!
So he's definitely a bit of a meme. I do feel like people think he's a little bit worse than he is just because the archer bases are really, really bad.
Yeah.
He is actually rather tanky with 20% defense.
Not bad.
So if you really want to, you can make him like a cavalier, and he will be just fine. He will be a tanky cavalier, but his weapon ranks will be bad. He's honestly one of the worst units on. Like, there's no going around it. Yeah. But you can definitely make him work. And early on, just having a little bit of chip damage is really helpful.
Yeah, one thing that I have learned from my test runs, anything that attacks him will kill him, like, on base. Like, he will die to the pirates at base if anyone reaches him in melee.
Only if he has the steel bow, because the steel bow weighs him down.
Yeah, the steel bow, because he
if you use the iron bow, he survives. But yeah, he takes, like, I think 1 hit with the iron bow, and otherwise he just dies in.
Like, he's easily the most, like, we have to be the most careful with him, I would say, on this map, next to, other than Marth. She is the real lord of the game, real and true. Oh, wow, 3 axe bros. Oh, game you shouldn't have. Hi, Ogma. I think it's fair that we talk about the man, the beefcake. Let's talk about Ogma.
Yep. So, Ogma is, I think back in the day, everybody thought he was really, really good. And then people just kind of got the impression that he's really, really mid. But I think he's, for the early game, one of the best units. He is just very solid. He gets relatively tanky if you use him. His bases are amazing. C rank and swords. You can use Killing Edge from the go. And through his usage early on, you can get him to B rank very fast. He will most likely be your first silver sword user, and you get one really early on the Hardin chapter. And with the silver sword, he can actually one-round a couple of enemies like archers, which one-rounding in general, especially early on, is very difficult to do in this game.
Massive.
Unless you're using like effective weaponry.
Yeah.
So he's not even that fast. He's just like in the territory where he's just fast enough to be able to double some scary enemies. Yeah. So amazing unit.
Especially for Chapter 3's boss, I think it is. Like, he's one of the few that can reliably fight that boss. Which is
at base, yeah.
At base, yeah. Which is what we want for him. We need to keep him alive, I would say, for that case.
Yep.
Ogma's definitely one of our early game mainstays.
Yes.
With that in mind, we have 3 axe bros to review. Hi, Board.
Board.
He's got bases, but I'll let you take it from here.
So, Board is definitely the weakest of the 3. He does come with a hammer, and that can be useful. He's a unit you don't want to give EXP even if you use him, because what he can do is he can chip armors with his hammer just enough to where they're low HP and feed kills to others. Throw hand axes with him, but his growth rates are not particularly good.
Yeah.
He's the worst of the 3. You can still, like, you can make him a hunter for some extra speed if you want to, or a mercenary, but I would use him mainly for his weapon access, and he does get to B rank access pretty quick if you use him, and then he can use the silver axe pretty quickly. So that is pretty nice.
It is nice for Board, but I think he's probably going to be one that we're probably going to bench him, I'd say. I don't know if I'm going to use Board.
Yeah. He's the worst of the axe users to get early on.
Yeah, but let's talk about, where is he? Probably the best one, Barst. Oh my god, those are some bases. Woo, my boy Barst.
Yeah, Barst is amazing. His bases are actually insane for his level. I feel like you could make him level 9 and he'd still be a good unit. He doesn't have any strength growth, but his strength base is insane.
Yes.
And his speed growth is pretty good. He's relatively tanky. And again, you can do pretty much everything other than like Dark Mage with him. Great as a mercenary, gets super, super fast. Great as a fighter, gets fast and strong. Pretty tanky as a knight. Pretty good all around as a hunter. And you can get his axe rank up pretty fast as well. Great unit.
I like Barst. He's probably one of my favorite Shadow Dragon units, period. I mean, he's an axe bro, and also just... He comes with really good bases.
Really solid.
Just one of the best, I would say. One of the best. And then we have probably the investment unit of the Axe Bros. We have Cord.
The thing with Cord is his growths are actually really good across the board. And his bases aren't bad either. He only has E rank in axes, like his weapon ranks are pretty iffy. But he's very fast, his strength is alright, his bulk is alright. He just does everything relatively well. You can use him in any class, even Dark Mage works for him. what I usually do is I see if he gets like a good first 1 or 2 levels, and if you get lucky and he gets like strength, speed, and whatever, he can become really insane, and he can become as good, if not even better than Barst. Though usually Barst just stays a little bit above him, I find.
Yeah.
In raw stats.
If we are going to use the Axe Bros, I'm probably going to stick to Cord and Barst, personally. They seem like the units I would probably invest my time into. Not to say that Board doesn't have merits with... well, the weapon rank definitely helps Board, but Cord and Barst are probably the ones I would invest into, personally. We also have someone else that will join us. It's Darros, one of the better armor knights.
One of the best units in the game, in fact. So you look at this guy, and you're like, wow, this dude sucks. And then you see that he gets weighed down by the steel axe, and you're like, wow, this guy sucks even more. And then you actually look up his stats and realize he has 30% defense growth. You make him an armor knight, he has 60% defense growth, and he just ends up taking 0 damage from everything very, very fast. You can forge him an Iron Lance, get him kills really easily like that, and you'd think that the speed is an issue, but the only enemies that can really hurt him are mages, and A, there's not many of them, and B, they're so slow that he never gets doubled by them, even at base. Darros is a really, really good unit, and if you want like a backup, like tank, he's your way to go.
Yeah, well, we'll probably make him an armor knight when we get to reclassing, because honestly, I could see the merits in him just being a really tanky unit, and plus, that luck growth ain't bad. Decent luck growth.
He is the reason you want to buy an Iron Axe early on, because the Iron Axe doesn't weigh him down, so he can help out a bit without needing to worry about being doubled by everything.
And then lastly, where is he? Where's Castor? There he is.
Castor.
Probably one of my personal favorite archers of this game. I really like Castor a lot.
He is very solid all around, I would say. He can be quite tanky if you make him an armor knight. He can be quite strong if you make him a fighter. He's good as a hunter. Again, you can kinda do everything with him. His bases are not super good, but they don't need to be. His growths are amazing. Yeah. His luck is a little bit low, but I feel like even then he's usually fine.
But Castor, if we are gonna make a big iron, I'd say Castor is probably one of our better potential units for that.
He's generally better than Gordin, because his stats are just better at base and his weapon rank is the same, so... And his growths are mostly the better as well. So I think many people just give him the steel bow and say goodbye to Gordin.
Yeah, pretty much.
We get a couple new units.
We have some new units here. All right. It's Miss Warpstaff herself.
So, indeed, Miss Warpstaff. I mean, you just keep her a cleric, you know, she can use warp from the get-go. Her growths and stats are not particularly good, but it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
The one thing I will say about her is, if you really want to increase her magic, you can make her a mage, but that doesn't really matter. Or if you want to be really funny, she is a woman, so technically she can reclass into a Pegasus Knight. So if you, like, this is unironically can help you out in some chapters. If you lost Caeda, you can make her a Pegasus Knight, forge her an Iron Lance with a bunch of power, and then she can still contribute despite her awful stats. But for all intents and purposes, this is just a heal bot.
Heal bot. That's pretty much all she is. Like, anyone can use the Warp Staff with enough training, so... I don't think that's unique to Lena, personally. Like, she could just use it from the start, but we really don't need to use the Warp Staff in the early game, and I want to try to not abuse the Warp Staff unless we absolutely need to.
Do keep in mind, in this game you don't have rescue. Not the staff rescue and not the ability rescue.
Yes.
So if you want to reposition somebody, you need to use the Warp Staff.
Yeah, we can use it as a pseudo-rescue if we need to, like at any point of the game. But Warp Staffs are pretty valuable anyway, so if we do need to use it, it is a nice get-out-of-jail-free option, if we do need to use it, but that's Lena. Julian, our thief. Hi, Julian.
Bases are not that good other than speed. His growths are actually very good, though.
Wow, 40 strength?
You can just show his...
Ooh.
Look his regular growths up, because he can class. You will see his growth rates are actually really, really good. If you do train him, he will turn out almost like a sword master in a way. He's like comparable to at FE6, but he gets 30 levels instead of 20. So you can definitely make him work. You can make him relatively dodgy with his 80 luck, his speed. And since he's going to double, I think he's going to get sword ranks relatively quickly as well. Yeah. It's going to take him a bit to get there. If anything, I would kind of view this guy like Marth as a Myrmidon,
Yeah.
and he also happens to carry keys around.
Yeah.
You don't really need thieves in this game. Halfway through, you get the Fire Emblem on Marth, which can open all chests, and then you can just buy a bunch of door keys, and you never need
Fire
thieves
Emblem
ever
door
again.
key Marth, the best thief in Fire Emblem.
Unironically. But yeah, he's alright if you do train him.
Yeah. Navarre, the first edgy boy in
Navarre.
all of Fire Emblem. He's buns.
They ruined him.
He's buns in this
They
game.
ruined him. He is genuinely competing for like one of the worst units in the game. If you take a look at his personals, he has like barely any personal stats. He has 0 personal speed. The only reason why he even has 11 speed is because he's a Myrmidon. His growth rates are like okay, but he's stuck in the like he can only become a Cavalier, an Archer, a Curate, a Mage. His growths are admittedly not that bad, but his bases are abhorrent.
Yeah.
And he just doesn't do anything your other units don't do. Like, Ogma is just him, but better for the most part. There is one funny thing you can do. You can make him a mage, and he actually has a little bit higher magic growth than Merric, believe it or not.
So Mage Navarre could be on the table if you want to do that.
I've done it before. Like, you can definitely make him a mage, use him as a mage to get as much magic as possible, promote him, turn him into a sword master, give him 11 sword, and then feed him that spirit dust. And he actually becomes very, very strong if you do that, but it does require you to baby him a good amount.
It requires investment, yeah, if we ever want to do it. But yeah, Navarre...
Let me say it like this. You can forge fire for very, very cheap in this game. So you can give him like a fire tome plus 5, plus 6, plus 7 might and still pay almost nothing for it.
Yeah.
And with that, he can do really, really good damage. But if an enemy, like, even just sneezes at him, he's dead.
Yeah, he has no defense. This guy is just gonna explode. No HP either. Like, I worry for this guy's survival, like, in general.
If he's a mage. If you do train him as like a Myrmidon or even a Cavalier, he does become relatively tanky.
Might as well talk about him because we're gonna kill him.
We can talk about him briefly, though.
Yeah, let's
So,
talk about Matthis.
Matthis is pretty bad. His bases are non-existent. I think he has like +2 in HP. And that's pretty much it. His growth rates are not super good either. He's pretty slow. His strength is pretty good. His HP is pretty good. And his defense is actually pretty good. So he can be a tanky Cavalier if you want him to. But he's very difficult to use. He can use Javelins at base, which can be nice.
Yeah.
Just to chip a little bit here and there to get him going. If you want an easy way to make him somewhat usable, he's actually a great candidate for just making a curate, so a healer for chapter, getting him some easy EXP, getting him 1 speed level, because that's all he really needs to not be doubled. The speed thresholds are generally 7 for the early game, 11 for mid game, and 15 for late game to not be doubled. And at that point, he can start contributing. So even should you be in a position where you need to use him, you can make him work that way. We're not gonna get him, but we're also not losing out on much.
Yeah, I don't think there's anything of value lost from Matthis personally, just because we already have Cain and Abel. His stats are kind of just okay, and I don't know. I don't know if this was a unit I would go out of my way for. We have other ideas and projects we're going to make, so I think it's okay that we lose them.
It's more so like, you know, if you're really forced to be able to use him, you can make him work that way.
Absolutely.
But I feel like, especially since we are using generics, just getting a generic Cavalier is probably stronger. And he does get more chippy XP because he's promoted.
Hi, Merric.
Merric.
Merric, probably my favorite mage. I love Merric, bro.
Really, really good. Like, Merric is, in my opinion, one of the best mages in the game. I mean, he comes with Excalibur, which hits like a truck, deletes flyers, and he gets very, very fast, and he actually gets relatively bulky as well, even as a mage. He's like one of your tankiest mages. And the funny thing about him is, he's actually good in every class. Like, I've seen people use Archer Merric before, and he's still worked out really well. Of course, he's best as a mage, so he can use Excalibur. But everybody with B rank can use Excalibur. So what you could do is you could make him anything else, but then again, why would you?
Why would you?
He's better just as a mage. Yep.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well,
amazing unit.
Just a good unit all around, and I think that's what really just makes Merric above the rest. Some really good ones.
Which one do we want to talk about first?
I think you know who we should talk about first. Let's talk about your man, Vyland. Vyland.
He is widely considered one of the worst cavaliers in the game, but he does actually have a relatively good speed personal growth. So what I did in my Iron Man is I had Wendell be a sniper, and then Wendell died, and Lena died in the same chapter, and I had made Vyland a curate for the same chapter just to get him some levels, get that speed going, you know?
Yep.
And then suddenly he was my only staff user with C rank with the physics use. So I was like, oh, guess I gotta keep him a healer. And then I kept him as a healer to level 20. He got insanely fast, he got a shit ton of resistance, and then I just made him a paladin. He doubled everything. He doubled mercenaries, got almost no damage from Garneth. Now, that being said, he's not the only one who can do this. Anybody can do this to a degree, but he's particularly fast, which is nice. And he does have 5% res. So you can do that to curate max, and speed levels. You can also just use him as a cavalier. You know, 6 base speed is not good, but he only needs 1 speed level to not be doubled.
Easily.
And you can just throw javelins until then.
Yeah.
He's okay as a replacement cavalier, but there are better units.
Roshea.
Indeed, he is. Very
Yes.
weird unit.
Yeah, he's weird. That's one way to put it.
So he has an abysmal speed growth. I think it's legit 0 personal speed.
It's 0.
Yeah. So his speed growth as a cavalier is 10%. He does have 7 base speed, which is kind of his saving grace. So you can use him. His strength will get good. He will get pretty tanky. He will get a lot of HP. But obviously that speed is bad. However, for the early game, 7 speed is enough to not be doubled by the vast majority of enemies. And then until you hit the mid game, he can get like maybe 1 or 2 speed levels, then the paladin promotion, and he's back to 11 speed, and then he still doesn't get doubled.
Yeah. Yeah.
And late game, like, he can get alright. You can definitely use him. He's not as unusable as people think, but he's not as good as the other units, I would say.
Yeah, like if we're gonna invest in like any of these units, it would probably be Vyland, because Vyland at the very least has some personals. If we want to dip into other classes, that's my one worry for Roshea.
Yep.
Because he can easily fall behind. I feel like.
Indeed.
Not to say that we couldn't use him, but I can easily see him fall behind. Let's move on to Hardin. Probably one of my favorite units of the entire game, and we're definitely using this guy. I'm making room for him on my team.
Yes, and I think he is probably also the best cavalier in the game. He is really, really solid. He's blazingly fast. His base bulk is really good. His base strength is good. He can use silver lances at base. This is like getting Jagen again, but with growths this time.
Mm-hmm.
So, just insanely solid. He will usually turn out better than Abel and Cain even, and his growth rates are very comparable to them as well. Can't go wrong with training him.
Yeah, I think if anything, if Abel dies or falls behind, like Hardin is gonna more than make up for that loss, I would say.
So Sedgar, as you can see, 120 HP. This is personal. This gets added on top of class growths, by the way.
Yep.
These two are so OP that they single-handedly break the game apart. So for us, it was between banning them or nerfing them, and I know how to hack the game, so we nerfed them so they're more akin to their FE1 stats, or like growth rate, slightly adjusted.
Yeah.
As Better Dragon characters usually. And you can maybe show off the growths again, since we're talking about them, just so the new people who may have entered chat can see them as well.
Yeah, so this is Sedgar. This is what we've kind of officially done for Sedgar.
Yeah, that's Sedgar. So, yeah, his growths in FE1 are just worse than Wolf, so I decided, you know what, let's give him a little bit of magic, a little bit of res, you know, you can make him your sorcerer if you really want to. But, yeah.
Yeah. They're, like...
You can still use them, they're still promoted at the end of the day, like, even without super good bases, just general bases are insanely good, and they can help you out that way.
Yeah. Just because I feel like they should be on par with, like, their original stats, because it seems ridiculous how much of a large milestone that they are, like, compared to the rest of the cast. It's kind of a little much.
Yeah, for sure.
I don't know if I really like that. Like, I kind of prefer this, so you have to work to make them good if you want to use them.
Yeah.
Which I think is nice.
Like, these growths, I think, are actually a little bit higher than most pre-promotes get even, but their bases are also a little bit lower than most pre-promotes get. So I think it evens itself out.
Yeah. So we have like basically...
It just makes the run a bit more interesting.
Yeah.
Yep.
I would agree.
And Wolf is pretty much the same. I think he has like 30% in strength, more like strength-oriented than Sedgar, but to differentiate them a little bit, but
yeah, this is
strength and Wolf.
Here's Wolf. So this is
just so you can see the difference.
So this is Wolf. What we changed up for Wolf.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because as Chaos Ember said in chat, every run of Shadow Dragon you ever see uses Wolf and Sedgar because they're that good.
Yeah.
We just wanted to mix it up. Has anybody else been modified? No, these are the only two that I've modified. I feel like everybody else is mostly fine. And I didn't want to buff anybody because we still want to have the difficulty be intact. This is literally just making the game harder on us because it will be more interesting. Otherwise, the game is completely vanilla.
I would agree. It just makes it more interesting because every run uses Sedgar and Wolf, and I think having a more neutral version of them is a lot more entertaining. And plus, like, Castor the Caster exists, so you know we got other units and projects.
Yep. And we also got to show off Wendell.
Probably my favorite pre-promote in the game. I love Wendell.
For sure, one of my favorite pre-promotes in the series, actually. So you see Wendell, you can show him off as a sage first. Personals are like non-existent practically. Yeah.
His personals are non-existent for reference.
Personals are non-existent, but so he's an alright sage. He's pretty fast, but on hard 5 he's just missing the threshold to double some enemies. So that speed doesn't really come to use. And he can use Excalibur at base, that can be very nice, but neither his magic nor his strength growth are actually particularly good, like his personal one. So what I actually really like to do is you make him a sniper. Check out his growth as a sniper, or his stats as a sniper. You will be shocked.
Let's look at him.
Your jaw will open. He has 17 speed at base.
Oh my god, what?
17 speed. Yeah, his base speed or his personal speed is really, really good because his sages have really, really bad speed. So if you make him anything other than a sage, he just becomes the fastest man in Arc.
Crazy.
He doubles, and now he has 7 strength. You know who else has 7 strength? George. So you can just forge this man an iron bow, and that's as strong as a silver bow. He doubles every enemy in the game, and he doesn't need any growths.
So Big Iron Wendell is what I'm hearing right now.
Big Iron Wendell, indeed. And he's actually rather tanky as well. 9 defense, bro.
That's good defensive stats. Like honestly, this is a good unit, all around.
Yeah. It's like he's also good as a sage, obviously, but I think as a sniper, he's even better.
Yeah, I don't think
you can even make him like a Draco Knight or something, and he's still pretty fast.
It's kind of crazy how useful Wendell is as from a reclassing perspective. Like even if the reclass thing wasn't a thing, Wendell is still really nice just from his utility and also just I don't know. He's one of my personal favorite pre-promotes in this game. I like him a lot.
We can briefly talk about Rickard. We can briefly talk about Rickard because there's really not much to say.
Not much
you can bring up his personal. Yeah. So he is essentially just a worse Julian, but he does have one very, very nice use that is very interesting. So on the map where you get the Almstaff is located in a tower way at the bottom of the map, right?
Yep.
And normally you have to go through the entire map to get it. But what you can do instead is you fill up his inventory with 5 items, you warp him on the chest with the Almstaff, you open the chest, his inventory is full, so he sends the Almstaff to the convoy, and then he dies, because you don't care about him.
Right, that makes sense, because he just kind of like self-sacrifice.
Yeah, to get you the Almstaff early. That is the best thing he can do, and that is probably the biggest reason why you should keep him alive, or maybe like, yeah. That is his biggest use case. You can also just do it if you have like a chest key on anybody. Easily. But Rickard really is just Julian light, and Julian by himself is already not super good.
Yeah, pretty much. But, you know, it's nice to have a thief if you really need it, but you literally just need to stock up on door keys. You get so much money in this game, and, well, Fire Emblem Marth exists. So, yeah, it's kind of unfortunate. But I could see the strat with Rickard just sending them in and getting the staff and just letting them get killed off. I could see that. Let's get Athena, shall we? So, I've come prepared this time, my friends. With the gracious help of Donlot, we've made some nice little graphics for their personal growths.
Yep.
And of course...
Yeah, Athena. She is one of the better Gaiden units, I'd say. You can open up the Discord thing as well.
Yeah, I'm getting it ready. As you are... are you tapping in her...
Oh, oops.
No, you're all good.
I just had a brain fart.
Yeah, you're all good, bro. Don't worry.
Athena, there we go. That's regular Athena.
And here's Athena.
And, I mean, she's pretty alright. You know, those stats are not bad. I think especially her defense is not bad for that level. You can do a couple of fun things with her, like Athena... Pegasus. As you can see, 10 strength, not bad at all. 9 speed is okay. Growths are okay. 8 defense is not bad. Same with her HP. And other than that, I mean, 5% magic. You could make her a mage as well if you wanted to, but to be honest, like, if you were going to use her, you probably want to use her either as a Pegasus or a Swordmaster. Yeah. Or rather, a Myrmidon.
Rather as a Myrmidon or Swordmaster. Right. She's a very fun woman.
Very fun woman.
Very fun woman, indeed.
What about Mage Athena? I mean, we can show her off. You can also make her like a curate if you really want to.
Yeah.
Athena curate.
There we go.
Yeah. 45 speed, 45% speed, 6 strength as a curate. That's
funny.
Like, I guess you could make her a mage, but as you see, her base strength is actually really high.
Yeah.
Like, these are okay growths. But she's pretty high level.
Yeah, she's definitely more
I'd say, honestly,
physical.
Just keep her in a physical class.
Yeah, that'd be my take on that too, if I were to see those growths. But
what is pretty nice about her is that if you're playing by this point, usually your only options for flyers are Caeda, Lena, which you don't really want to make a flyer, Jagen, Wendell, and, well, Athena. So she's one of the few flyers you can have. Should your Caeda have died, she's a great replacement Pegasus Knight.
Yeah, basically. Talking about all the units.
In the near future, yeah.
Absolutely. But yeah, let's talk about Horace.
Horace is a very, very weird unit. I think I've used him like once, and in that he was okay. It's like, hey, would you like to get Jagen, but in a different class set, and halfway through the game? Some of his stats are alright, as you can see. Like, 8 speed is okay for a general. That's the same stat that Darros ended up at.
True.
15 strength is actually pretty solid. Same with 32 HP. His defense leaves a lot to be desired, though. Like, his growth rates just don't make him grow much.
Yeah.
I think if you want to use him, realistically, you could try, like, maybe, Hero. You know, these stats are comparable to Samson. If you want, like, just a second Samson without the weapon ranks. There's also... I think this one could actually be pretty fun. You could try making him a warrior to kind of conceptualize, you know, use that strength stat of his, use that HP stat. And with this, you can probably make him a relatively solid unit. But at the end of the day, you could also just say we do the same thing we did with Lorenz, kind of. Yeah. You just make him a horseman. You know, 13 strength as a horseman is pretty solid. Almost at C rank bows. Like, what you could do, actually, is you just grab two arm scrolls. Though I think you could only get your second one in the secret shop.
Yeah, I think so.
You train his bow rank up to B, then you give him the arm scroll, and then you have a Parthia user. You could do that. And at the end of the day, if you really have nothing else to do with him, he's still promoted. You can just make him a sorcerer, make use of his bulk, use him just as a heal bot.
Yeah.
This is probably one of the worst units for long-term investment, but his base stats are good enough that he can get away with a couple of, like, just being a nice filler unit, I think.
Yeah, my thing about this unit compared to Athena is, like, it's the price you have to pay to get this guy. Like, on paper, like, if I just recruited him, I'd be like, yeah, an extra body. The problem is you have to kill off so much of your cast by that point to get this guy, and... So,
I would not see it like this. I would see it more so as if you're in the position where you lost that much of the cast just because you lost so many due to just playing poorly, getting unlucky, whatever you want to call it, then you just get him as a kind of consolation prize.
That's
and
fair.
As a consolation prize, you know, he can be, you know, he has a good strength stat. He can do a little bit of chip damage here and there. He can be an extra healer if you need to without needing a promo item. He does those things, and he's not as good as other units, but, you know, as a consolation prize, I think he's fine.
Yeah, like, I'll handshake on that, but I'm just thinking more in general,
think
like, yeah, he's...
Athena, for example, if you really like her, I can see just you killing off some units to try and get her. I still don't think it's the best, like, if you're very close to the limit anyways. But, like, Horace is not somebody I would specifically kill units off for. Horace is somebody you would just get during gameplay.
True. But yeah, Horace, if you lose units, solid filler unit, and very much a very Arcanea, like old school Arcanea style pilled character with the growth rates and bases, so yeah, you can make decent use of the guy. Like, not saying that you can't use the guy, but it's more rather when I'm thinking it's like, I don't know if I would, like you said, I wouldn't go out of my way to kill off my cast for this unit. Maybe Athena, but not this guy, I don't think. Alright, that is Horace. Let's move on next to Etzel. One that I think might be worth it.
Etzel is pretty solid. So as you can see, these base stats, the main thing about him is 11 magic at base is really, really good for Shadow Dragon. I think our Merric had like what level... he had like 15 or something like that, and that's with nearly capped level.
Nearly capped,
it's like level 10 promoted. So, and he comes with B rank, you can use Excalibur from the get-go. 9 speed is not the best, but it's bad for pretty much all the mages. 40% is still pretty solid as a growth. And 7 defense, 30 HP is pretty damn solid for a mage. He's just... The best way I would probably describe him is, imagine if Wendell had magic instead of speed.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it, honestly. Like, if the stats reversed.
This is a very solid unit just by himself. I don't think there's much funny things you can do with him, but the one thing that I always wanted to try and haven't... I think I've done it like once, but then he died pretty early, is you can technically make him a hero. He has 9 magic as a hero, you feed him the spirit dust, 17
sword.
speed, 11 sword, bam.
wait, actually, 22 skill, 17 speed, that's not bad, actually.
Yeah, it's pretty good. 10 defense, 30 HP, like, this is pretty solid. You do need to get him a little bit of sword rank, or an arm scroll, so he can do it. But this is surprisingly usable, and he's honestly a pretty good filler unit.
Not bad. Honestly, not bad at all. Very impressed. Like, this is probably like a unit like I would just be glad to have if I lost so much of my army.
Yeah, like, yeah. If you lost a lot of your army, this is somebody who, you know, either as a support unit with being kind of like, you know, Boa or George was for us or something like that, he can really contribute. Just drop an Excalibur, especially let's say your Merric died and you don't have any other magic users who can easily use it. So he can just be useful from the get-go. And if you want to do something funny with, you know, the whole hero thing, 11 sword. And the thing is, you don't even have to do this immediately, right?
No, you don't
because
have to.
The nice thing about 11 swords builds is they get better the more magic you have. And the best magic growth is when you're a magic class. So you can just level him to... level him as a sorcerer, and then turn him into a hero, and he'll have a little bit more magic even.
Yeah.
Like, you could just turn him into a hero in, like, the last couple of chapters, throw an arm scroll on him, bam, you have a 11 sword user.
Yeah, just a, like a diet 11 swordmaster build. Not bad.
Pretty much. He's not going to be as fast, which is kind of sad, but, yeah, you can still make him work.
Yeah, I can easily see the merits of this unit. Solid unit. Like, I would probably use this guy on a second run. I could see myself using him. So,
and
nice.
this is again a unit similarly to Athena, where if you're pretty close to the threshold of reaching him or not reaching him, you may want to kill off some scrubs just so you can get him instead of some of them.
Honestly, fair. I could see that. Well, yeah, solid unit. I don't think I have anything bad to say about Etzel. Just a solid unit.
Yeah, pretty much.
All right. Last but not least, let's talk about the recruitable warrior, Ymir.
He has, I think, the highest HP base in the game. 46 is really, really good. 18 base strength, 50% strength growth. 14 speed is enough to not really be doubled, I think. 12 is just shy of it, but 14 is enough for quite a while. And with 30% growth, he's not that far off from getting to a point where he at least doesn't get doubled.
True.
He comes with B axes at base, so you can just drop silver axes on people. He can get to the hood clear very fast if you need a good axe user for that. He can use bows to help out a little bit. I think, honestly, warrior is probably a really good class for him already.
Yeah,
you could also try...
Good in it by Shao-Dragon
yeah, his growths are pretty good. He's high level, so he doesn't get all that much from them, but they're still pretty good. You could also just say, like, hey, we make him a hero. 18 speed, pretty solid. 17 strength, pretty solid. Pretty tanky unit. Like, I think this is probably... maybe not quite a Gotoh, but he kind of goes into that direction. Because if you didn't have a unit like Barst, for example, you could just say, okay, I kill off a couple units to get to the threshold of recruiting him. And then maybe you give him a couple of stat boosters. Maybe you just level him up a little bit. And you can feasibly get him to cap his speed. Maybe cap his strength or something. Get him tanky enough to maybe take a hit from Matthis. You would need to invest like stat boosters into him most likely, but you can make him work, and it's probably less work overall than some of the other units.
Yeah, Gonzalez actually makes a really good point. Like, he's very similar in regards to the Ogma we had in our run. So actually, like, competent all around. Like, he kind of reminds me, funnily enough, of like Gary from The Last Promise, where he's a warrior that comes right at the end of the game, and he's got good stats, he's got good weapon ranks, like, and he could just help out as like as your axe Gotoh, so to say, as you said, which is pretty interesting.
Pretty much, yeah.
No, actually, looking at him a second time, like keeping him as a warrior, and then if you want to make him a hero, like, actually can be really solid. Like, just from the fact that like our Ogma was kind of like average for a lot of the playthrough, like, yeah, I could see this guy being helpful.
And what you could also try, I mean, so we just go through the other options. Even general is not the worst, honestly. These bases, especially the HP stat, is really good. 19 defense doesn't sound like much, but let's say you get him, you're like very short on units, and you're thinking like, okay, I need somebody who can just tank, right? So you invest into getting him some levels as a general. You level him up to 20 as a general. He has 23. You get, 4 or 5 Draco shields, and then you can get him up to 30 as well. Yes. And he pretty much nearly caps his HP just on his own.
That's not bad. Okay.
Again, it still requires investment in other, like, resources, but you get the stat boosters pretty much anyway, so if you need him, you can make him work. You can make him really, really helpful for your run.
Yeah, true. Like, in the end game too, especially as we saw, like, Mantiqueats are worth a crap load of XP. So you can level them relatively, like, feasibly. I mean, granted, that chapter is pretty scary, like the chapter before Matthis, so you have to be careful. But if you get some Mantiqueat kills on this guy, all right, we got Bontu. All right, let's talk about this guy.
Can you get him the Firestone out of the convoy from Marth?
Absolutely.
That way we can see his damage output.
These are his personal growth. So these are his growth rates, because Bontu cannot reclass.
Yes.
But this weapon is pretty much what makes him good. This Firestone.
Yes. It doesn't show the stat bonuses, but I guess we can. I think it shows it in Oifi actually. Let me check.
Yeah, you can check Oifi if it shows the stats for the Firestone.
11,
if Darros becomes Wall, will he not become Sail? I guess not. I guess not.
Firestone. Yeah, he gets 8 strength, 4 skill, 4 speed, 9 defense, and 4 resistance. Which are pretty good bonuses.
Solid bonuses.
So the thing with Bantu is you look at this guy and you're like, oh my god, this is like one of the worst units like in the game. But here's the thing about him, right? Throughout the entire game, you get 3 Dragon Stones with 30 uses each, and you can't sell them. And the only other unit who can use them is like Tiki or Nagi, but Tiki is bad anyways, and you pretty much like just want to use Nagi, and she's like final chapter. So you get like 90 uses of a weapon that hits like a silver weapon for free.
Basically.
So you can just use him like a free silver weapon, and his growth rates don't matter. He sometimes can tank 2 units, which even your other characters sometimes can't, for a while. And here's the thing, if he dies, sure, you lose out on Tiki, but then you just get Nagi, and Nagi is great.
Nagi is pretty good.
He's very expendable in that way.
I concur.
So I like him for that. He is the Manaki Jagen. Yeah, kind of.
It's one way to think of it, yeah. Because he has like a good niche for like a couple chapters to, if you need a replacement slot, like, or if you want to bench someone for a little while, you could just use Bantu and like.
Yep.
And if he dies, it's like the only consequence is you don't lose Tiki, but even then you get Nagi as a consultation prize for losing Tiki. So
yes,
using Bantu generally isn't that risky, but I mean, you lose him, you lose him.
You get a free walking silver weapon that only he can use essentially, and that can be pretty nice.
Yeah, it's helpful.
It can be pretty nice just to deal some damage here and there.
Cool preps. Hi, Caesar.
Caesar. The most average man in Arcania.
Alright. Hi, Caesar. What's up, buddy? Let's talk about Caesar, shall we?
Yes. Caesar is okay. Pretty much. I guess the closest unit there is to him would be Cord. Pull up the Oifis.
Yep, got you covered once. There you go.
His growth rates are just pretty solid across the board, even magic-wise. Like, you can just make him... Oh, I'm used to it being called Oi.
Oi.
Caesar... If you make him a Dark Mage, for example, even then, like, this is okay. 30% magic is not bad. 45% speed, 50% HP. That's pretty okay. 6 defense is actually pretty solid.
It's really solid,
and actually. I think even, like, Caesar Knight... Like 13 base defense, again, it's all right. Like he's just extremely average. It doesn't really matter what you make him. He will usually turn out pretty all right.
Agreed.
Even like Hunter, it all works out pretty well.
Yeah, he's just...
So if you need another filler, he's pretty solid.
He is a filler unit. Filler unit at the end of the day. And yeah, if we need replacements, he's right there. So that's Caesar for you. Nothing. He's not too special, but... you know, that's Arcania for you.
Yep.
Could be a horseman, true. Let's talk about his companion. Hi, Rad.
Probably the worst unit in the game.
Unfortunate.
So the thing is, you look at Rad and you see like, oh my god, those are awful bases. And then his growths are not particularly good either.
Yeah.
And the funny thing about him is... Take a look at his personal stats. He has -1 speed and -1 skill.
For a murder.
Which means, like, normally characters can be very nice as, like, cavaliers if you just want to keep them relatively well-rounded. But if you make Rad a cavalier, he has 5 speed. So not only does he need 1 speed level up to not get doubled, he needs 2. And the nice thing about him is he can be relatively tanky. 9 defense is alright. 30% defense growth is actually very solid for a cav, as is 45% strength. But he gets doubled by everything as a cavalier. So if you do want to use him, well, you gotta do the old classic. Get a cure at max, get him 2 speed levels, then he's good to go. But like that's how you gotta make him useful. Otherwise, he will die to everything.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, sure, his sword rank is D, so he can use steel swords. That is kind of nice. But he needs D for lances for javelins, or he really wants that. And then I guess you can also just use him, you know, as a Myrmidon. But, like, why would you just not use literally anybody else?
Yeah, there's just... Oy, this is a unit of all time.
Yeah, a unit of all time.
Hi, Roger.
Yes. So, we get Roger. And Roger is like, you look at this guy, and you're like, okay, it's a knight that's like significantly worse than the knights that are next to him. What do I do with this man? Like, he looks so bad. But then, take a look at Roger personal.
His personals are great.
Bam, 5 personal speed. So you can just do, and as you can see, his strength growth is really good. His luck growth is really good. HP and speed is also all right. So you can just do Roger Fighter, for example, and bam, 12 speed off the get-go, 75% strength growth, 20% speed, which is kind of sad. Yeah. What I think is even better for him is if you do Roger Merric, because as you can see, 15 base speed with 55% strength growth. Sure, his base strength is not good, but as you know, we just forged an iron sword, which is as strong as a silver sword, and with 15 speed, he actually doubles people. So you can make him a mercenary, he doubles some enemies from the get-go, and he uses essentially a silver sword to do it. So he can be one of your best damage dealers, especially once his strength gets rolling. And because he has so much luck, he's one of the few characters who can, I wouldn't say dodge tank, but dodge semi-reliantly.
Yeah.
If the things are in his favor, like once you make him a hero.
It's the closest we'll get to a dodge tank in this game, I think.
Yes. And you can use the Devil Axe, indeed.
Yeah, you can.
How much to make him a Dark Mage? Please, no. Please, no. Anything but that. That is like, I think that would ruin him. But yeah, Roger is very solid. I think Mercenary is his strongest reclass, but even like Hunter works relatively well, as you can see. 11 speed is not bad at all. Like, this is comparable stat-wise to Doga, who we've trained and is like level 8 or 9.
Exactly. Like, this is a solid unit, and well, we're gonna use him. We're gonna use Roger this run. How excited.
Yes, I do think Mercenary is his best class, so we probably want to make him a Merc.
That's the plan.
If we're gonna use him.
Yeah, I'm gonna make him a Merc. That's probably my plan for this guy. Alright. Hi, George. I like your portrait, but let's talk about you.
I mean, the first thing you can do is you can compare him to Wendell, and you will see a how much of a joke he really is. They have the same strength, but Wendell has 5 more speed, 1 more defense, a little bit more HP. Wendell is pretty much just better other than the weapon rank, but Wendell has his forged big iron, so it doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
The weapon rank.
He's like on par with damage in terms of it, but yeah, let's look at George. Let's grab George real quick. I'll grab his personals. So George, well, he's a unit.
Yeah. The thing with George is his growth rates are kind of abysmal. And there is one big thing that hinders him. It's not actually the fact that he can't double, though that is definitely a negative. Generally on Hard 5, if you want to one-shot all flyers in the game, even like late game, you need round about 9, 10, maybe 11 strength to guarantee that you can one-shot every flyer in the game with Parthia. George starts with 7, and he only has a 20% growth in it, so on average he will like maybe reach level, like maybe reach enough, but after a lot of investment or after an energy drop. Meanwhile, other units like Wendell doubles, which is really nice, and then other units like your your Doga has like I think the same strength or even higher strength at this point.
He has like 1 more point I think of strength than him.
He can still do good chip damage with the silver bow, which at this point it's usually only him who can use it, so he's still a good filler unit.
No, yeah.
The issue is just that he doesn't tend to grow all that much. In fact, what I've done before is you just say, hey, you know, George, your stats kind of don't matter anyway, and they kind of suck anyway, so we're just making you a sage and using you as a heal bot.
Yeah, a heal bot could definitely make this guy work. George Swordmaster with 11 sword. How viable is that, would you say? Swordmaster, George?
No.
Not really?
It's not. George.
I mean, honestly, if we're gonna
I can show you.
If we're gonna do 11 sword build, let's be honest with each other. The fact that Riss is somehow getting speed is promising for me. But anyways.
Yes. anybody who gets good speed or magic can generally make 11 sword like relatively well.
Yeah.
In fact, I think if Castor continues to level magic, we may be able to make him a hero and then just give him the 11 sword with that.
That's fair. We could, so
that
way
could also work, but
he's still casting. He's just using the 11 sword.
Yep. Yeah, but George's stats are just not very good, regardless what you make him.
Yeah.
Which is, again, why I think that if you just need a filler slot, you can definitely just make him a sage, a bishop, or something. Because the nice thing over him, compared to just a curate, is you get one extra move when you're promoted.
Right.
And that can matter. But I do think it's genuinely funny how, like, one of the better classes for him is a sage, and then one of the better classes for Wendell is sniper. They just changed jobs.
They swap jobs. It's really funny. But, I mean, I like George a lot, but personally on my first run, I always used him. I think he's definitely made more for the lower difficulties rather than hard 5.
Yes, like, absolutely.
He's more made for the lower difficulties, and that's not a bad thing. I think George has his own merits in that regard, which is why I think he probably has such a high impression on people. That's probably where I think it probably comes from. But even on lower difficulties, I always really managed to notice he could just die really easily. Like, even on lower difficulties, I find.
Yeah.
But, I mean
the thing with him is, like, he's still a very good character to bring on next map, for example.
Oh, absolutely.
Just due to the fact that his silver bow does a lot of damage, and there's a couple of flyers here and there. Like, still pretty solid filler unit, but just don't expect much from him long term.
I mean, if we use him, we use him at the end of the day. It's okay. It is A-okay. I never used pre-promotes because of these bases. Yeah, when you come from GBA, especially if your first GBA was FE7, your impressions of pre-promotes are going to be skewed in that regard, which could be good or bad.
Absolutely.
Here's Maria, the baby.
Maria. So, I'm glad you liked Riss, because here's Riss, but younger and female. There we
go. Here's Maria.
Like,
75 luck growth.
She is one of the units of all time. When you can pull up the
grabbing it right now.
Data.
There we go.
So as you can see, her growth rates are like non-existent in every stat that's like not luck or res. Her bases, believe it or not, are also, I mean, they're better than like Rad's bases, I guess.
They're fine.
So in a serious playthrough, the only thing you'd ever do with her is you just keep her as a curate. You know, she has D rank in staves and a little bit. That's better than most people, or than everybody else who just reclasses to curate. So she can be nice if you just want to get staff rank up quickly.
I agree.
You can technically also do Mage Maria if you want to kind of try to get her magic up. Like 40% is not bad, but there's obviously better units. However, we will be doing the best
funny
thing ever. We're gonna make her Pegasus Knight.
Pegasus Knight Maria.
Yes, she wants to emulate her bigger sister, so you can make this work. I've made this work before.
It's funny. She has a 10% strength growth, but forges are what will fix this.
I do want to show you just for comparison. So Maria Pegasus Knight. I think that's how you write it. Yeah, I'll just do Pegasus, Draco. Hold on, I gotta check the. I think that's how it was. No. You can definitely check. I just don't remember how.
Yeah.
Maria Pegasus.
Making our own White Wings? Yes, we are actually.
Yes. Is it? Hold on, let me just try this. Does that work? Yeah. So this is if you train her as a Pegasus Knight and then promote her to Draco Knight. Those would be her bases, and well. I'm not sure you're noticing something, but they're very similar to Minerva's bases. They're like almost the exact same. If you just scroll it up and down or like make it a bit bigger.
Yeah, she literally just becomes Minerva. That's so funny.
Oh, wait, I can delete my message here. There we go.
She literally is just Minerva.
It's just Minerva.
Wow. That's funny. Bruh.
Yeah, so, she wants to be like her big sister, you know?
Yeah, you know, if it works, right? Oh my god. Well, very peak. Very funny. Maria's funny. She was my main healer in my first ever run, believe it or not. I like Maria. I have a soft spot for this unit.
Yep. We get Minerva, and I don't know what to tell you guys, but she got done dirty by this game. She is
this is not her game.
Pretty mid.
Yeah.
This is not her game. I mean, as you can see, like, her growth rates, they're not bad, but her bases are not super good. You can definitely make her work. And the nice thing about Draco Knight is she does have 30 defense cap, so once you get to the secret shop with all the Draco shields, you can just feed her like 5 of them and let her cap it.
Yeah.
Then she can be your little melody. But outside of that, she starts with A rank and axes, which is really solid. Gets her a bunch of hit with them. Allows her to use silver axe and her own Hood Claire. This is not a PRF. It is effectively the A rank regalia of sorts for axe users. And it is very, very strong. It has, like, what is that, 18 damage on it. It's better than a silver axe.
Here, let me... I'll check in a sec. It does 18 damage, 80 hit, and then weighs... Its weight is 9, so crazy.
Yeah. It's really, really solid, and right now she's the only one we have. She's not super tanky.
Not at all.
You can definitely make her work in more than a Draco Knight, though. I've used her in, I think, every single class that is in the game, I think. Like, even if you do, like, Minerva, Sniper...
Is there one that stands out?
This is...
Okay.
The Sniper is pretty solid, as you can see. Like, those growths are not bad at all. 8 strength, 28 HP, 14 speed. It's not quite like Wendell level, but this is certainly not bad. Then you can also... I saw somebody mention Paladin. Paladin is pretty solid, too, but I feel like, you know, if you're gonna keep her in, like... You might as well just keep her a Draco Knight.
Yeah, just
for the Hood Claire.
And the Hook Claire.
And then I've even done Minerva Sage. Like, even this you can do, just if you want to get her some more speed or something. Because the funny thing is, she counts as royalty as far as the game is concerned, so she can use the Alm Staff. So if you're in a position where all your other princesses have died, you can make her a Sage, power level her staff rank, just to be able to use Alm. Which, you know, is kind of nice, but
funny.
She is mainly a physical unit at the end of the day, and if you want to use her, I think her 2 strongest classes are Draco Knight or just Sniper.
I might make her a Sniper, just as a backup in the event we lose Wendell. That would probably be my vote.
Yeah.
If anything, she would be a backup for Wendell if we end up losing him. The only problem is, I mean, she's got decent defenses, though, and all that. Like, man, I don't know if I'm going to see myself using this unit long term or at all personally.
Well, currently you're looking at Sage. If you go a bit up and look at Sniper again.
Yeah, for Sniper, if we're gonna use Sniper, like, I don't really want to use Paladin. Sniper's decent.
Because Sniper is pretty solid. Like, 14 speed is not bad at all. I don't think it's quite a doubling territory, but
not quite.
A couple of speed levels, and she could be there. And 35 strength growth is actually one of the highest strength growths of archers in general.
Yeah.
And again, she doesn't really need more than like 9, 10, maybe 11 with the Parthia. So you can definitely make her work. And 30% defense growth with 9 base defense, that's pretty tanky.
It's helpful when we need it. Well, if we end up using her, great. As far as I'm concerned, this is a backup unit. Probably not a mainstay unit, but a backup unit.
Yes, absolutely.
That'd be my
great
take
filler
on this
unit.
Yeah. Yeah, just a good filler unit, and, well, maybe we'll use her. Well, that's fine. Let's grab Linda, shall we?
I'm not a huge fan of Linda, actually, at least gameplay-wise. I think she's just a little bit boring to use. As you can see, her bases are pretty alright. She does have -1 magic, but she has, like, the highest magic growth in the game, I think. So it doesn't end up mattering all that much. And, like, if you take a look at her... 50% magic growth is as high as you're gonna get in this game.
That's good.
35% speed is also okay on her. Her base speed is pretty good. You can just use her as a mage and aura nuke everything if you want. So that is the best way to use her. If you don't like that, you can also just do Linda as a curate, which still makes relatively good use of her magic with 30% and gives her a little bit more speed. And early, like, easy levels if you want to level her very fast.
Yeah.
But why would you? She's there to nuke.
Yeah, she's just like, she's basically like, it's a solution for like, oh, there's a scary enemy in the way. Linda, delete this man, like kind of deal.
Yeah. I don't know. I find her a bit boring, but she is pretty strong.
Yeah, she's fine. Perfectly fine. General Grievous, are you
one
sure
thing I have,
Roger?
one thing I have seen actually is you can do Linda. Hold on, I'll show it off. Or let's go all the way.
Or we're thinking about how to max her out.
I'm gonna show you a funny thing you can do if it works out. Yeah, you can level her as a mage, level her as a sage, then turn her as a sword master, and she will have 17 magic and double everything with 11 sword.
11 sword Linda. I see the bit.
And the funny thing is, this doesn't require you to use her differently than you would normally. Like, you just use her as a mage, you use her as a sage, and whenever you feel like her magic is good enough, you just make her a sword master. You give her an 11 sword, which they can use at base, and she just kills.
Crazy. That's insane, man. Linda's also better if you can use the Hamern. Yeah, regrettably, Lena's dead, so there's no Hamern for us this run. We're making do with what we got.
I'm gonna be honest, I don't think the Hamern matters at all because you get the Starlight.
True.
And not the Starlight, the Star Sphere,
yeah.
Which gives you infinite durability on everything you hold. So you can just, give her that, and then her aura is infinite.
Basically.
In fact, I think the better choice is actually to keep the spheres and not get Starlight, because Starlight is kind of whatever.
Yeah, it's kind of okay. It's like if you want to get like an early Falchion and such, but at this point it's like Marth's not really going to be doing combat with the Falchion to begin with, because he can double my Matthis. Like, so
yeah,
I don't know if I like those odds.
Hamern is useful for warp. That is true, but you get like 2 or 3 warp states in this game. Like, I find I always have more than enough warp uses in this game, even if I use it relatively liberally.
Yeah. Without
warp skipping chapters, I might add.
So we got Jake. He's a ballistician.
Oh boy. Yep.
He is a ballistician. Let's grab him real quick. So this is Jake.
Yes, and I think are those his personal, or are they his?
I believe those are his personal, but let's check Oifi. Let's double check.
No, you're right. You're right. They are his personal growths. But to be fair, he doesn't have many personal growths. So you get 2 ballisticians in this game, and the main thing about them is they can shoot ballistas. They are practically the same unit. I think Jake has like better skill growth and strength growth by a little bit, but Beck has slightly higher bases or something. They're practically the same unit though.
Yeah, basically.
What makes them pretty OP though is they have 3 to 10 range. And you may say like, oh, but ballistas are limited, right? Well, yeah, but then you get the Star Sphere. And with the Star Sphere, they are no longer limited, so you can just shoot an infinite amount of times with them. And then you also have 2 of them, because you can get Beck later, and you can forge ballistas. So you can just take like an arrow spade, which is super, super accurate, forge a bunch of might on it, and then just trade it around between the 2 alongside the Star Sphere, and they just destroy everything.
Yeah.
Very, very OP. When I did my original Iron Man of this game, I banned them from use because they can kind of trivialize the game a little bit too, but they still also have their weaknesses, and that obviously they can't move very far, they get doubled by everything, their resistance is non-existent, but if you keep them out of harm's way, they are insane offensively.
Ridiculously so. Like, I remember just the moment I got Beck on my first run, like, Beck just changed the game for me. I'm like, oh my god, this guy just has infinite arrows. And, like, thunderbolting all the enemy ballisticians, and then just, like...
Yep.
Like, ballisticians are a hell of a drug in this game, but they can be a little too strong if in the right hands.
Yeah. Yeah, they are very OP.
Very.
Like, ballistas in general. Like, these guys could have, like, 0 in every stat, and they'd still be pretty OP.
Yeah. Oh, boy. So we have a bunch of people in a cell here. A couple of which we do want to use.
And all of them are good.
Yeah.
So, which do you want to start with?
Let's start with. I think we should start with Dolph.
All right,
Start with our boy Dolph. Let me grab Dolph.
I think Dolph is one of the best units in the game.
Oh, okay.
Which, like, those are his personal growths you see up there, and they are actually quite good. Like, you see him as a knight here, and you're like, I mean, this is okay, I guess. But then you're like, what else can he be? And you're like, Dolph, mercenary. Bam, 15 speed, 50% speed. That's pretty solid. You can just forge him a weapon.
Yep, forge him a sword.
Then, bam. Dolph, hunter. 8 strength, 11 speed, 55% speed growth. At level 4, might I add. His personal bases are very, very solid. And then you can also do, like, Dolph, fighter. 12 speed as a fighter, 55 strength, 40% speed, 90 HP.
Crazy.
Like, this is very, very solid. He's a little bit like Roger, but his growths are more varied. Like, Roger has a lot of speed, a lot of base speed, bad speed growth. Yep. But then his strength growth is good, and his strength base is bad. Dolph is just kind of very solid across the board. Like, even his defense at 15% is among the better ones. And he does start with C in Lances, if you really want to use him as a knight. Absolutely. So he's just very solid all around. Yeah. The only issue with him is his luck. 3 base luck can be a bit iffy, and 10% is not really reliable, so you kind of want to hope he gets some luck levels, or maybe consider a goddess icon on him. Yeah. That's his only real weakness.
That's like the big thing. Like this is a good unit otherwise, though. Like, across the board, you can just make him whatever you want him to be for your army, which I really like about this unit. So we'll see what we make him. Maybe a mercenary. I think mercenary is probably his best bet if we want to make him, like, really
I think hunter is his best class. Okay. Actually.
Hunter could work too.
Because you're gonna fight Garneth soon in the desert, and there's a lot of flyers on that map, and he can get some super fast XP that way.
Well, that's a good point too. Yeah. I guess, we can, like, trade around, like, make another, like, forge bow for our archers to trade around.
Yeah, for example. We could check Masalan, because he's relatively similar.
Yeah, let's go grab our boy
Big Mac.
Big Mac. It's time to talk about Big Mac. Pink Dolph. Hi, Mac. How you doing?
Pink Dolph. Yeah, Masalan is... I'm not even sure if they're brothers. I think they're just, like, twins, but actually not related or something like that.
But not actually.
Like, Masalan is mostly worse than Dolph. Like, his bases are a little bit worse. His growths are... Some of them are higher. Like, I think he has slightly higher strength, but then his speed is slightly lower. He is, for all intents and purposes, slightly worse Dolph in all but, like, luck. Mm-hmm. And luck can be the deciding factor in some cases. That being said, he's still not bad at all. You can check Masalan Hunter, for example. Like, these stats are still pretty alright. Same with the growths. Same with, like, Masalan Fighter. 10 speed, you know, this is perfectly fine. Perfectly fine as a unit. Merric. Like, you can definitely use this guy if you want to. He takes a little bit longer to promote as well because he's only level 3. I remember in my original Iron Man, I wanted to use Dolph, but then Dolph died, and I was like, I'll try Masalan. And with his very high offensive growths, he can be one of your relatively reliable picks to kill Matthis in the end game. Just because Matthis is very, very scary. You need to be very fast, very powerful, and at least just have enough HP or defense to deal with him. So, yeah, pretty solid, but Dolph is better.
I was gonna say Dolph seems, because if you have to choose between the two of them to train, because you can train both of them in theory, but it just seems like you'd rather train one, like in terms of like a training project. So
absolutely,
dumping more into Dolph might be the play. Not to say that like Macklin can't step up, but I feel like Dolph is just the better choice here, like all around.
Yeah, Macklin is Dolph Light.
Yeah,
essentially. Yeah, but Dolph Light is still good.
Dolph Light does not diminish his qualities. Medea.
So yeah, Medea.
Is she mid Dawnlight, would you say?
I think she's certainly less mid than Medea from FE4.
That is fair.
So the thing with her is, like, her bases are not particularly good. They're not that much better than like somebody like Jagen, and she only has C rank in Lances compared to Jagen's B. But her growth rates are a lot better, and she is also level 1. So she's okay as a paladin, like can use her and stuff. But what I really like is you can make her a sniper, and
perfect.
Just look 70%. Yeah, 70% speed growth. Like that's pretty solid.
Pretty good.
Her base luck is all right. 25% strength growth is better than George by 5%.
Easily.
I mean, the main thing with her is you can use her as like a sniper and get her speed up and kind of get like a Wendell light in a way, but that still requires some training.
Yeah, it requires.
You can also do maybe a Sage I've done before if you just want to level up her speed, because remember, heal staves give you a lot of EXP, so you can just do this for a couple of levels, bam, speed is up there, and you can use her like as a sniper or something.
Okay.
There's also Swordmaster, which you can do. 15 base speed is pretty alright. I don't think it's enough to reliably double, but you can double some enemies. You can just forge an iron sword for her, and she will get that speed up very, very fast. She's also halfway to B rank already, so she doesn't need all that long until she can use silver weapons.
I would agree.
And technically, this is also true. You can also make her a Draco Knight, which, I mean, these stats, like these bases are not super good, but she still does have 65% speed growth if we compare her to like
anyone else, like
to Minerva, I'd say.
Yeah.
Because I think they're relatively good comparisons. Can you put the thing down a little bit, the Oifi? Yeah. So as you can see, their bases are not that different. Minerva has slightly better bases, but Minerva doesn't have her speed growth. And Minerva has worse lance rank, actually. So you can definitely make this work if you want to. If we compare their growths as well. 30% more speed, 40% more HP. You can make her work. She's probably the worst of the bunch, honestly, but she's still very nice filler.
Yeah, just filler, I would say. That's a good way to describe her. She's just a filler unit. But yeah.
She's solid filler.
Yeah,
and that's all she really needs to be.
Exactly. Like, she's just a filler unit, so I don't know if we'll see much use of her, but Donald, let's talk about one of your favorite units.
Yes, one of the most underrated units in the game.
It's Tomas time. I've prepared a special
portrait
for him.
time.
All right. Well, all right. So, let us have it. Give us the good word.
I'll give you the TED Talk. So you look at Tomas and you're like, wow, I get Gordin, but he's level 8 this time. And you're like, wow, this is one of the worst units in the game. Why would anybody ever use this? But then you realize, wait a minute, he's level 8. He's like just almost promotion ready, right? So what if we just level him to 10 and then promote him? And suddenly, bam, you see 31 HP, you see almost 10 strength, you see 11 speed. Like, the speed doesn't really matter. But what matters is he starts with C rank in bows. After promotion, we can check Tomas Sniper without any levels. He's already at B rank. He only needs 45 more weapon EXP to get to A rank for Parthia. And you only need 9 to around 11 strength to one-shot every single flyer in the game with Parthia.
True.
So he is good not because like his stats are phenomenal in every way. He's good because you can just give him 2 levels here, or you can just train him as a curate for like one map, just throw him a heal staff, get him to level 10, bam, and then you just bench him until the late game, get him one of your spare master seals that you don't need anymore later, and he can instantly help you a lot. And that is what makes him solid.
Yeah. So, yeah, like a good like backup Parthia user in the event that we need one, basically.
Exactly.
Which is really solid. So, he's very good.
Because, like, if you think about it this way, right? You have George, but George has 7 strength and 20% strength growth. He doesn't really reach 9 strength reliably, even if you use him to level 20.
Exactly.
But Tomas starts with 9 strength. He's almost at Parthia level. If you want to be safe, you promote him and you give him an energy drop, and he's just good. He's just good for killing flyers, good for doing chip damage. Yeah. And, like, I would say you should not, however, instantly promote him. You should keep him on the bench on level 10, and then if you have a spare one lying around and you want to fill a slot, then you can do it.
Agreed. Well, This is a backup Partha user in the event that we need one. I don't know if we'll use him immediately because we already have a lot of bow units, so we'll come back to him when we get around to it.
Yeah, like if anything, what I would maybe say is just try if you can see to get him like 2 levels, either just from chipping this map or maybe just making him a curate for 1 map.
Curate might be the safer option, I feel like.
Yes. And then he's just solid for endgame.
Yeah, definitely a solid contender for endgame. Well, we'll definitely try to find a slot for Tomas if we can.
Okay, wait. It's better to train Gordin or train Castor. Tomas really sucks a bit, but for the memes, it's funny. Well, here's the thing about Tomas. You don't need to train him. You only, like, 2 levels, which you can easily get in 1 chapter if you make him a healer. That's all he needs. And then the Master Seal. Gordin is level 1. Castor is level 1. Like, sure, they can still do it. But they don't have the weapon ranks. They don't have the base strength. And they just need longer until they can hit that. So just as a filler unit for the late game, he's pretty solid.
Very solid, yeah. Training Gordin takes a lot of effort on a pretty bad unit. Yeah, because Gordin didn't really level up good for us anyways, so there's no point in using Gordin at this point.
Yeah, Castor is overall a better unit. He gets he has higher growths, higher bases in most things, but he doesn't have the bow rank. You know, you do still need to train him, and that's just what's nice about him.
Alrighty. Well, last but not least, Old Man Boa.
So, if you liked Wendell, now you get Wendell Light.
Here's Wendell Light. It's Boa. I actually really like Boa. Boa is one of my main staff users.
I like him too. He's very fun. As you can see, his personal growth rates are like non-existent.
True.
He is pretty bad long-term, but that being said, his bases are still pretty alright. You know, he has C rank in staves. He can instantly use Warp, Physic, which are the main ones that matter. B rank in tomes, you can instantly use Excalibur with him if you want to. But on top of them, you can do a similar thing as you did with Wendell, where you just make him a sniper. And as you can see, 10% strength, like he's not gonna level much strength, but he's a good candidate for the energy drop as well, for example. 15 speed is still pretty good, can double some enemies, and if you just get him like a couple more speed levels, he can double pretty well too. Not as good as Wendell though, especially not long term, but it is definitely an option. And at the end of the day, he's also just a very, very solid staff filler unit.
He's a filler unit. That's what he is, and I have a soft spot for Boa because he was one of my main warp users when I did my first run of the game. So I like Boa a lot. I like this old man. And, you know...
Yeah, he just doesn't need much investment at all, which is very solid.
Like, right off the bat, he could just use solid staves, and, you know, that's honestly a really good boon to have in Shadow Dragon, even if you don't reclass him. So, really good unit, just for that reason.
Absolutely.
So, a good utility unit if you need backup. So, that's Old Man Boa. Astrum.
Oh boy.
Astrum here.
Yeah,
let's
Astrum. He gets called strongest man in Arcania constantly in the games. And, you know, in FE3, in FE1, I can see it. He's quite strong. His strength growth is pretty good. In this game, he's an absolute joke. He's probably the worst pre-promote. As you can see, he does have some things going for him. Like, his 30% strength growth is pretty alright. Pretty good, actually. But 0% speed growth. And, believe it or not, his base speed is not as good as you think it is, because it's just carried by hero. So here's the issue with this guy. He doesn't really do damage, and with 14 speed, he doesn't really double that much. He needs to get levels in strength, which is a coin flip, whether he gets them or not, to do any meaningful damage. And on top of that, he doesn't double, and he probably will never double. His bulk is like okay. If you want to use him, one thing I think is pretty funny is you can make him a warrior to make good use of his strength. You know, 70% strength is pretty good, 9 base strength is okay. You can mainly use the arrows for him, and he only needs 15 hits with the axe to get to C rank, where he can use like pole axes and hammers. Like, that can be pretty solid. Mm-hmm. The issue is he has 10 speed, and around the midway point of the game, where we are slowly getting into now, 10 speed is enough to get doubled. Yep. And if he gets doubled, he just dies. So, can you make him work? Yes, and I think Warrior is one of the best ways to make him work. But, like, you can also make, like, do, like, Horseman, if you just want to focus on his bow rank maybe, and that also allows you to use his sword rank at least, but same issue, his speed is pretty bad, and he does have the best speed growth as a horseman, I'm pretty sure. So if you just want to get him like maybe 1 level of speed, because he only really needs 1 level to at least get going, you know? Or like a speed wing if you really want to, but he is one of the worst quick promotes. There is one thing which I actually sometimes like to do with him, which is not too bad, I find. You can make him a sorcerer. And there is one reason why you would want to do this. His base HP is actually pretty alright, so is his HP growth.
Yeah.
And in the final map, there's a couple of ballisticians which may attack you. And he's one of the few units who, if you level him up as a sorcerer even, or I think even at base, he may take a hit from the ballistician while your other mages may not.
Yeah.
So that is like one of the things you can do with him. And, you know, maybe he gets a speed level out of it. But he's just very, very bad. He's... Even as filler, he's not really worth much.
He is buns. Like, we're literally sending him out to die right now, like, with these weapons in hand. Like,
yeah.
He'll eat some arrows off of Ogma and Darros, and that's it.
Pretty much.
That's pretty much what we're sending him out to do. So, we're not going to see him for very long, guys, so say goodbye to the strongest man in Arcanea. He's missing an S in his name.
Oh,
Astrum.
wait. Before you do this, I also want to show one thing off.
Yeah, go ahead.
Or 2 things, actually. Astrum... Hold on, just to show you how much of a joke he is. If you check the personals, and you check the growths, Roger has 5% more strength than him, so he's not even the strongest man in Arcanea.
Roger just outdoes him.
Yeah, Roger has higher strength growth than the strongest man in Arcanea. And also, just for comparison again, you pick somebody like Astrum, and you compare him to... Dolph as a hero. Without any levels, Dolph has better bases. just raw base stats, Dolph is better.
Oh my god, dude. Astrum, bro.
Yeah. And to be fair, Dolph's bases are pretty good, but still. Without any levels at all, just if you play 0% growths, Dolph is a better hero than Astrum.
Yes.
In raw stats.
It's
just hilarious.
It's embarrassing how bad Astrum is in this game. It's such a joke. Like, there's no reason to keep him. We're killing him off. There's no reason to keep him on the team.
Yeah. Like, I've told you guys the ways you can make him work, but yeah. And on top of that, like, his base luck is also awful, so he can just get crit.
Yeah, because thankfully we're not in a position where we're desperate for units, which is good for us.
Yes.
Yes. Comes in with the Thunderbolt ready to go. This guy is tailor-made for this map. Let's talk about Beck.
Yes. There is not all that much to be said about him that we haven't already said about Jake. He comes in, he's a ballistician, and ballisticians are great. I think his growths may be a bit better. Actually, I think for Beck you put the ballistician growths, and for Jake the personal growths.
Yeah.
That's why they're different, but let me just show you off how they are.
How they compare.
Yeah.
Yeah, 2 ballists.
So as you can see, base stat-wise, Beck is slightly higher in like strength. His bases are slightly better. And then growths-wise, Jake has slightly better strength growth and skill growth, which is the only 2 that really matter, because ballisticians can never double.
Yep.
So at the end of the day, this is pretty much the same unit. Any base stat difference fizzles out after a couple of levels. And at the end of the day, they shoot ballistas.
Yeah.
Their stats don't really matter.
Yeah, it's just...
Great unit, though.
Yeah, great unit, though. And you get him for free. Compared to Jake, which requires a little bit of hassle to get, you get Beck for free.
Yes.
So that's like the major
true.
difference between the 2. And he's tailor-made for this map, which is great. Like,
absolutely.
That's what I like about it. Like, I think this is probably one of the strongest unit feels in Shadow Dragon is Beck. I think that's why people remember the ballistician so fondly. It's because of Beck on this chapter. Like, he does so well.
Yep, the Thunderbolt does really, really well here.
Yeah.
Yep. And Katria is one of the best units in the game.
She's insane.
Yeah, so as you can see, you get her at level 5, so she's under level. She comes with C lances at base, which is really good. And you see those growths of her? Yeah, they're among the highest personal growths in the game, I'm pretty sure.
Insane.
And even if you compare her to like Est, her bases are slightly better. And she actually has higher growth rates than Est.
That's
in
crazy.
A lot of areas. So people always say like, oh, Est is like this like super good unit if you train her. Katria is pretty much just Est, but you get her earlier. Which is pretty busted. Katria is probably best to just keep as a Pegasus Knight. That's what she's known for.
Yeah.
But yeah, she doesn't have magic. I mean, if you really want to get her like speed levels, I guess you can heal with her too. You can do that with everybody.
Yeah, just about anybody can do this.
Yeah, if you want to get her like an early promotion or something, if you left her on the bench. I don't know. What else can you really do? I mean, she's good in everything. Yeah. You can do like let's just take a look at like Katria Sniper. This is without any levels, by the way.
Oh my god.
Yeah, her bases are really good. Her growths are really good. She's just really busted.
This girl's insane. I love Katria.
One of the best units in the game. So, in most areas, Pala is pretty much just worse. If you compare the growth rates from them, Pala has like really good strength growth. One of the highest in the game, I think.
It's
like just personal strength growth.
Ridiculous.
We just compared the two. Like Pala has slightly better bases, arguably.
Yeah.
And then you check the growths and you're like, wow, Katria has 40% higher speed.
Yeah.
And unlike FE12, Pala's base speed is not that high. She has trouble actually doubling, even if you train her. And sure, her strength growth is nice, but you're still going to need to train her to activate that. Yeah. And 7 base strength, compared to the others, is not that high. B rank Lances is nice. She can just instantly use Silver Lances. But she just feels like a weaker version of Est and Katria in this game.
She's okay. She's perfectly acceptable.
Yeah.
Like, that strength growth is going to be nice for her. Like, that she can hit hard, but... yeah, like effective damage, I can easily see this girl being like a good effective damage user for that reason.
Yeah, as you see, like there's still things you can do. Like if you make her a sniper, 15 base speed, still pretty solid. Sniper works for everybody.
Yeah, sniper
and
works.
55 strength with 10 base strength. That's not bad at all.
Strong, man.
30 HP, 10 defense, pretty tanky too. Like honestly, like sniper's one of her strongest. And remember, this is without any levels. This is just at base.
This is base Pala, yeah. So we have not leveled her like at all. So that's crazy.
Sure. Yeah. So both of these units are really good still.
That's nice. But yeah, we might end up using both of them if that's the case, because I could see merits in both of them. Like Katria, like probably will eclipse her sister, but you know,
yeah,
that's the beauty of growth rate. Sometimes here's Aaron. He might be recognizable to use those who have played FE12.
Mm-hmm. He's your Jagen in that game.
Correct.
So Aaron is, I would say, the better of the two. As you can see, his stats are, or you don't have it open yet.
I got it right here.
There we go. As you can see, his stats are not really that good. His growths are really solid, though. I mean, he comes with free A rank. What I kind of like to do with him is you can do, as always, Aaron Sniper. You know, good growth rates. He does start at level 10, and here's an interesting bit about both of these characters. There's actually a bug about two of them, or about both of them.
Really?
In FE1, they come at level 1, not at level 10. And they were planning to have them auto-level to level 10, right? So they're a bit stronger, they're not as weak.
Right.
But they fucked it up.
Oh.
What they did instead is they made them start at level 10 and auto-level to level 1, which just means they don't auto-level. So you just get their level 1 stats at level 10.
That's unfortunate. Because then it makes sense to choose between one of them because they're both like supposed to be decent. Like, oh wow.
Like just to show you the difference, you would have gotten 10 levels, so or 9 levels rather.
Yeah.
So these would have been Aaron's bases would they not have fucked it up, and that's pretty solid, honestly.
That's good. Like actually, not bad for like a replacement pre-promote. That's good. That's a good unit.
Yeah. So that being said, you know, he's not really all that good as a paladin. I would just, you know, sounds kind of weird, but view him a bit as a growth unit. He does have really good growths. He can help you as a sniper. I used him as a sniper a bunch because he does come with 8 strength and he can grow it very easily. And he doesn't need much more strength, like maybe 1 or 2 points to one-shot with Parthia, so pretty close to that. For that, he's pretty nice. Otherwise, just a nice filler unit.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, Aaron's helpful when we need him to be. But let's talk about the other guy. And I more prefer the other guy personally, just because I think he has one of the coolest portraits in the game. Let's talk about Samson.
He does. It's Jonathan Joestar.
Exactly. Like I just love his portrait, man. He looks so cool.
Yeah, he's pretty cool. So Samson is arguably worse, at least in like raw growth rates, but it kind of depends just what you're looking for. I think his bases are a bit better, and that is probably what matters more to people.
Yeah.
I mean, like, he may get a little bit of strength, HP, luck, and stuff, but not all that much. What is kind of nice is that he's actually an axe hero, so he can, you use a couple more axes with him. And he's able to use silver axes from the get-go. He can use hook player relatively quick. You can get him going with that. And before we go on to the other classes, again, I want to show off if they hadn't fucked up his levels. This is how his bases would have looked like, which is also really, really solid.
Really good, actually. Like, actually helpful for this chapter if we had him at these stats. Damn.
So it is kind of sad. Other than that, you can make him a general, and I've seen people do the thing you do with Darros, but with Samson, and they just fed him like 2 Draco shields, I think, and then just got some defense levels. So you can definitely make it, like, do it with other characters too. His strength is still pretty alright, so is his HP. You can use him as an archer. I think because his strength is so okay, you can also do like warrior. Yeah, because with warrior, as you can see, you harness the huge strength and HP of warrior, so you have a lot of strength. 12 base speed is pretty alright. Almost at A rank instantly.
Wow.
So almost at Hood Claire, and you can use bows for accuracy if you need it. It's pretty solid. I mean, you can pretty much do something with all of them in pretty much all classes.
Yeah, definitely. So
and funnily enough, he does have a magic growth, I'm seeing. So you could do... Yeah, you could do Sorcerer if you really wanted
Samson.
to. There is somewhat of an argument to be made, I think, just because he's bulkier than your average Sorcerer will be.
True.
So if you have him just as a backup staff user, he will be able to take some ballistas on the final map, which can be nice. But that's pretty much the only thing I can say about that.
Yeah, I can see that. That's unfortunate, but...
Time skip caster! True.
Alright, let's talk about
him. Xane is one of the most OP units in the game. What can he do? It's quite simple. You have his personal growths, but he can't reclass, so the ones on Oifi should be the correct ones.
Yeah, exactly.
But that being said, his growth rates literally do not matter, his stats do not matter, because whenever he imitates somebody, he takes over all of their stats. So, he just doesn't need any stats, he doesn't need any growths. He just can copy your strongest unit, like let's say he copies Darros, we have 2 Darros for 5 turns, and then he goes back and he can imitate somebody else. Except HP? No, he copies HP in this game as well. So, yeah, he's just really OP. There's not much else to be said. He can be a 3rd ballistician, he can be another Ogma that you've trained, he can be another Caeda with the wing spear, he can be Darros the Super Wall, another Wolf or Sedgar. He just copies your strongest unit, and by that merit, he is your strongest unit.
Which is great about him. Yeah. Last 5 turns, but 5 turns you should have more than enough time to utilize what you're making him. Like, he can unshift, and then you can shift into another unit, or to another unit. Like, that's pretty good. I don't think
Does he copy inventory? No.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I don't think he copies that.
You still gotta give him weapons, but... Yeah.
Okay.
I just kind of find him to be boring, because he essentially just means you have more of the same that you already have. Yeah, we pull up the Oifi. So S is actually a really, really good unit. Her growth rates are pretty much the same as Catria's. They're not... You'd think she would be stronger, but Catria is actually arguably better than her.
True.
She's still an amazing unit. It doesn't really matter what class you use her in. You can do like, let's say if you just do S to train her to 20 and then you promote her and level her to 10. Capped speed, nearly capped strength, 17 defense, good HP. Like, this is a great unit by itself, but you could also say, okay, for the final maps, maybe she needs like a little bit more speed to really be good. So you just level her as a Draco Knight as normal, but then you say, maybe I'll just make her a Sword Master later, because that can be pretty nice. So you just reclass her to Sword Master, and she has capped speed as a Sword Master. She has 20 strength as a Sword Master. She has nearly capped luck. She's one of the few units who can actually dodge tank a bit, depending on the circumstances. So this is just overall a really good unit. She caps, nearly caps her strength. I think she might cap it if you level her to 2020. She pretty much always caps her speed. Her defense is not even that bad. She has really good skill. Like, she's just extremely good across the board. You can't really do anything wrong with her. Like, I think even if you say like, okay, we'll do like something funny like this. Like, where you just train her as a mage, like, even that works out. Like, 11 magic is really not that bad, and 21 speed is really good still. Like, you can make her work as... And the crazy thing is, normally you get negative growth from being a mage, and she does it as well, but her strength growth is so high, she can still level strength.
Absolutely.
Even as a mage. Like, 40% personal strength growth is one of the highest in the entire game. So, yeah. Really, really solid unit. Doesn't matter what you make her.
Yeah, like this is the Est archetype character, like just the training project that can excel in any category. Like, this is just a good unit. But looking at remembering Catria's review, I can see Catria just being above Est just from joining time, the personal growth bases and all that. Like, makes her slightly better than Est, but I don't think that discredits Est. Like, Est is definitely more worthwhile. Worth the investment.
If you look at the comparison. You get Catria a couple of chapters sooner, and Catria has marginally better bases. And 2 more levels. And then you look at the growths, and Catria actually has better growths in most things. It's only really strength where Est has more. Which is insane, because you'd think that Est would have better growths. Because that's what she feels like. But Catria is, in my opinion, the better unit. Still though, there's also one thing I want to show off. Because when we got Dolph, I said Dolph is kind of like a mini Est.
We're comparing Dolph to Est.
Yeah. So as you can see, from their personal stats, they're actually very, very similar in a lot of things. And then if you go to their growths, there's a bigger difference in the growths. But you do get Dolph a lot sooner. And he does have different classes that she doesn't, so... It's not like the same unit, and I would say S is overall stronger just by herself. But, you know, Dolph is kind of like a mini S in a different class set.
Exactly, yeah. Like, that's why we're training Dolph at the end of the day. He is our S.
Yeah.
Alright, let's talk about Tiki.
Yeah, so Tiki, she's not a bad unit by herself. Her growth rates are pretty good if you do train her, and she turns out useful if you do train her. Her biggest issue is more so the fact that Nagi exists, and is usually the better choice. If you take a look at, you can make it a bit bigger.
Yeah, to compare them.
Yeah. Or I guess I can just do. Hold on, this is even better. Tiki. So if you compare the two here. Nagi has so much better bases, and even though Tiki's growths are great, she will probably not make the difference here within those 14 levels. The only thing that's really better for Tiki is her luck, but she doesn't really need that. And then, like, even if you train them to max level, like, just for comparison, it's like, what, you don't really notice much of a difference at all.
Yeah, it's kind of unfortunate.
And even if you do, if you have Tiki at level 30, then you do notice a difference. but I don't feel like the difference is that big. And you can get Nagi very easy levels on the final map because she does effective damage on the Manichees.
True. Yeah.
So it's just like, she's not a bad unit, but she gets overshadowed so much by Nagi that I feel like she's never really worth using. Especially since that also means that you have to forego the Star Sphere and everything. Which, or I guess you don't have to.
You don't have to, but it is like, you would rather like you can save up like the Divine Stone and all these things, but you don't have a lot of chapters to get Tiki levels. Granted, you can train her pretty quickly, but it's still a chance. RNG's still chance at the end of the day. Whereas Nagi comes ready to go as your Gotoh. Well, the same thing as Gotoh, but you get what I mean. But yeah. That's
exactly. She can't use the Firestone, that is true, and I think the Star Sphere does work as well. But even then, I usually just... It's also a bit of preference. I don't like Tiki much as a character. So I would rather just have Nagi in the end.
Yeah.
And have less of a hassle until then. Because, like, part of what makes this game so fun to me is that you can reclass your characters and you can try, like, all these different builds, but Tiki always stays the same. So that's why she's a little bit boring in comparison to the others.
Yeah. But, you know, if you want to put in the time and invest in her, and you do have the secret shop with all the stat boosters, you can absolutely make her work, but in the case of our run... Those resources need to go into other characters, so that's probably why I think ultimately it's better to just opt out of not training Tiki altogether. So
yeah,
it's fine. We're gonna make do with what we got, and there's no I don't think it's ever a bad call to train her, but for our run, we're gonna just go with Nagi. I think for the sake of it.
Yeah, because at the end of the day, whether you train Tiki or you use Nagi, they're still gonna attack Matthis. They're still gonna be doubled. And they're still probably going to die, but they're going to do good damage while they're at it.
Yeah.
And help you defeat them.
Though I think an important note to mention is that you can technically get both of them if you do it correctly with the Alm Staff. You can get both Nagi and Tiki. For this run, we're not doing that, but we are aware that you can do that. You can technically have both.
Yeah, the way you do it, if I recall correctly, is you use Tiki, you get the Falchion, and then you put the Falchion into her inventory, and then kill her off. Then you go to the next chapter, and then you use the Alm Staff.
Yeah, basically. But, you know, we need, like, I think we need a little bit more reliability, because I'd rather not rely on growths, like, good as they might be by Shadow Dragon standards.
Yeah.
I think still ultimately we need to prioritize other units, and we'll get Nagi for free. So, again, I don't think it's ever a bad call to use Tiki, but we're just not going to use her. So, say farewell to
pretty
Tiki. Alrighty, and that's Tiki. I love Lorenz's portrait.
Skip Lorenz, indeed.
I think Lorenz is cool. I love his portrait.
Lorenz is actually a very solid pre-promote, even though he doesn't look like it at the start. So we're going to talk about him.
Let me grab his... There we go.
Yeah. So Lorenz is one of those units where, again, you look at him and he doesn't really look that good. If you try to fight with him, 17 defense at this point of the game is really just not enough for most enemies. Especially considering, like, the Brave weapons start appearing, he gets quadded. Like, the generic enemies in this map, they did, like, what, 27, 26 damage. They quad him. Yeah. They pretty much just one-round him. So he looks really bad. But then you look at his weapon ranks. He does have B rank and bows, which means that what you can do is you do FE11 Lorenz. You make him a horseman. As a horseman, he's almost at A rank already. You can just feed him an arm scroll. And with his 9 strength, he is able to one-shot pretty much every single flyer in the game with Parthia at base.
It's helpful.
And that is what makes him a great filler unit. And even if you don't want to use the arm scroll, you can just attack with him a couple of times to get him to A rank naturally. Because he only needs like 30 weapon EXP. Weapons usually give 2, I think, per hit. So like you attack 15 times with him. And he can use it as well. And even then, you know, silver bows, he can use at base. 55% strength growth. Like, his growths are actually not bad, and he's not that high level. 10 speed isn't that bad either. It's enough to not be doubled by some. And if you want to, You can even do like Lorenz as a warrior, which gives him a really good strength growth actually.
Fantastic.
At 75, yeah. So he can be a great like supportive filler unit. On top of that, I think he just looks very awesome.
Yeah.
He's literally the big boss.
He's big boss from Metal Gear, quite literally. Like, this is just like a good example of like, if you know how to reclass the guy, and I think he's like a good Iron Man unit in the event where we lost a lot of units where Lorenz can fill a support role, like to just be a horseman with a silver bow. Like even just a silver bow, I think is really helpful for that reason. Because
we face a lot of flyers in the following chapters. The other thing you can do, though, this is more situational. You can make him a sorcerer, and again, this looks memey. There's one specific reason why it's nice. If you're really lacking on staff units, you can just try to level him. He doesn't need a master seal, so that by itself is nice.
True.
And because his base defense and HP is actually rather high, he will be killed by everything that doubles him, but he usually takes a hit from a ballista, which in some cases can matter. It ended up mattering for me on the final map, so it can be nice, but this is more of like a very gimmicky, like more specific unit. The real thing is you make him a warrior or a horseman, and you make use of his high strength and his good bow rank.
Yeah, like bows seem to be the game for this guy, and I'm probably gonna make him a horseman just so we have like a mounted guy, and that way he can grow his speed too. I think effective damage is really what's gonna be king for him to help out for the rest of the game. Like if we train him in Mac, I think we'll be in a good spot.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, so we're probably gonna replace Linda with Lorenz, I would say, with a horseman Lorenz.
Yes, I would agree.
So with that, Lorenz, welcome to the team. Ellis from Boise. Ellis.
Hold on.
Go.
Aggressive typing.
Aggressive typing.
So yeah, Ellis is she has A rank and staves.
Yes.
That's pretty much it. I mean, she can use the arm staff for you instantly. She can use fortify. She's level 10, so she's good to promote from the get-go. You don't really need to train her. Those bases are bad. Those bases don't matter. She's a walking heal staff utility. And as you can see, her growths are actually not that bad. So if you really, really want to train her, you can. This is a great map for getting some last-minute training into units. You could do like mage if you want to give her more magic or something. 50% magic is quite good. You could do... No, that's pretty much the only thing you can do. At most, you could do something funny again, like this. Hold on.
Don't forget 24
Where
extra
you...
training. True.
Yeah, you train her as a sage, and then you make her a swordmaster, and she has 15 magic. Like, her magic growth is legit really good, but again, by this point, you probably just want her for her staves.
Yeah.
She's more so for staves.
Because if you have, like, just the fact that she could just use the fortify, that's just a big plus. You get a free fortify in the chapter you get her, like, or at least the previous chapter.
Exactly.
I mean. But basically, like, just having A rank and staves is just good. She can warp, she can fortify, she can do every little thing you need her to do. So, backup staff.
What some units need to the entire game for, she just gives you at base, and so like her bases don't really matter.
No,
because whether she has 6 speed or 10 speed, she's still gonna get one shot and one rounded by enemies at this point.
Yeah, it's unfortunate.
Like, I feel like even if she had like plus 10 to all her bases, it still wouldn't matter.
No, I don't think so. It's kind of a shame, because I feel like if she had better bases, like at least a little bit better, then I don't know, maybe she would actually be really worthwhile to train. But looking at those stats, I don't know if I want to go out of my way to make a...
Yeah, I would not go out of your way to train her. Just use her for her staff rank, and that's the main thing she does.
Yes, absolutely. But yeah, Ellis, basically our free fortify bot that we just get right at the end of the game. So Hoorah.
Exactly.
That's pretty much all I got to say about her. So, very nice.
Yeah, I don't have much else to say.
Nagi. I don't think we need Oifi for this one, because...
Yeah, there's not much to say.
Nagi.
So, yeah, as you can see, her growth rates are really good, so should you really need to some help with killing Matthis, you can just try to feed her some kills on the map, and maybe she gets like a couple of points here and there that could help you out. She does have 23 speed with the Divine Stone, I think, and you need 27 to not be doubled by Matthis, so with just, 4 speed levels, if you can somehow get her 4 speed levels, then she won't be doubled anymore. So I guess that is pretty nice, and at that point she's a lot more helpful. Though, no, never mind, she still gets one shot, I think.
Yeah, that's...
I think she does. I think she requires an Angelic Rope, even with the defense boost.
Definitely.
So, yeah, she's kind of just here to do damage to Matthis and then die.
Yep, that's
and
pretty
maybe
much
help you a bit on the way there. The biggest contender for comparing her, of course, would be Tiki. I think we've done this with Tiki already, but we might as well show it off.
Let me pull it real quick.
Yep. Tiki will be around as good as Nagi on the same level in everything, but like Tiki is much better in luck compared to Nagi, but that's about it. There is, of course, the argument that you could have just trained Tiki to 30, but she still wouldn't be able to double Matthis. Or at least she wouldn't be doubled, and she could take a hit. Like, sure, you get a little bit of help with defeating Matthis for training Tiki, but that's a lot of investment you're putting into Tiki for just getting a unit who pretty much does it by herself, who does the damage you really want to do.
Yeah, and plus limited Dragonstone uses are a big thing too. Even if she can use the Firestone, it's just like you're limited in the uses on top of that as well.
I mean, I can kind of see the argument for maybe doing it with Tiki, but I feel like for me personally, the payoff is just not huge enough to bother putting so much experience into Tiki, as opposed to just not getting her and just keeping the Star Sphere.
Yeah, Star Sphere is just really good. I don't know. From this run, I've really appreciated the Star Sphere for keeping our like regalia alive for this point.
Yeah.
For Matthis, so Nagi's pretty solid. Like just a good throw out the problem and then just say goodbye for that purpose.
Just use both Nagi and Tiki with Alm Staff. You can, but it's a glitch, so we don't do it.
True. But with that is Nagi.
Mm-hmm.
All right, not bad. Ymir. That is the last unit.
And no, there's one more actually.
There's one more.
Gotoh.
Oh shoot, Gotoh! I forgot about Gotoh. What is wrong with me? Gotoh.
It's fine. We weren't gonna get him, so I think that plays part in it.
I used his actual stats because you can't reclass him. So here's Gotoh.
So Gotoh, there is not that much to say. He honestly is kind of similar to how Merric was for us. True. Looking at him, I think he's a bit tankier than Merric in defense and stuff. But around is fast, a little bit less magic actually. What Gotoh really is he brings you a Swarm Tome, which can be nice, especially against those ballisticians.
Yeah.
He can use Fortify. I think he even comes with a Fortify staff, if I recall correctly.
That's not bad, actually.
Which is super useful. And he can use all the tomes from the get-go. If you got Starlight... Actually, no, you need Starlight to get him in the first place, right?
I think so, yeah.
I keep forgetting the restrictions.
Because doesn't he run away? When the village is destroyed, he doesn't join you, but... actually... I don't know, actually.
I think you need to get Starlight, so you could give him Starlight, you can make him use Excalibur to help you out a bit. But he's more of a support unit. The difference between him and Nagi is really, you want the beginning of the chapter to be a little bit easier, because you can just swarm with, swarm the ballisticians, for example. You can get him if Tiki lives without Starlight. Okay. Interesting, okay. Starlight or Tiki, I see. So you could, but Starlight isn't that good anyway, so it doesn't really matter for his, for him.
Requirement, yeah.
But, the difference is really, do you want a good support unit, or do you want somebody who can do 45 damage to Matthis at base?
Yeah.
And For me, I would rather just pick Nagi for that. Especially, like, I'd rather have Starscream. I'd rather have Nagi instead of him.
I agree with you wholeheartedly. Like, Gotoh's cool, and he is, like, probably the only source of swarm you'll ever get in the game. And I will say
he's the only one that gets it to you.
Yeah, and like you said before, like when I played Shadow Dragon, I would use a swarm to get rid of the Pachyderm, and it makes the opening of the map better if you don't have strong openings. In our case, we had decent openings with like using the last of our warp staves and having the right units in the right places. So is it necessary? Not really, but it definitely helps if you really, really need to get out of a bind. But considering how much raw damage Nagi does to set up a kill against Matthis, I kind of think Gotoh's kind of just like, it's okay if you want to get him, but I personally still think that, like, so long as you have a strong squad, you don't necessarily need... you could go with one or the other.
I would say the biggest choice between the two is, do you have a staff user, or do you have, like, strong, heavy hitters who can survive Matthis?
Yeah, that's a better way to put it, yeah.
Because if you don't have a staff user, then Gotoh will be a really, really nice pick. But if you do have enough staff users, but maybe you don't have many good Matthis killers, only one, or maybe you gotta sacrifice units even to be able to get through Matthis, then having Nagi is the better option.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, that's what I was trying to go for, sorry. But,
yeah, no worries.
But yeah, solid unit, like, pretty much just a endgame old man, and he started the trend of the Gotohs, of the old men saving the youngsters in the end. So, thank you, Gotoh, but we did not get you this round.